Another one. Stay with us. Don't play with us. It's the Salted Nest Podcast. Another episode. Here to bring you what you need. Here to give you your fix for the week. So my co-host Biggs is currently infirm. Therefore, it'll just be out of day. You know what I mean? It'll just be me on here trying to show y'all something. Trying to give y'all something that y'all can feel this Monday. We're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about Shai Gilgeous. Because you know we had to. You know it's about that time. We're going to talk about the dumb discourse that is still going on around Wembanyama, around LeBron even. Cat got to go. A lot of people saying that Cat got to come to Brooklyn. Can we enjoy some measure of fruitful endeavors without having to taint it with some polarity? Like, it's like, yo, the Brooklyn Nets cannot be regular and not have to deal with polarity for anything. Like, you know what I mean? We're dealing with, we still got, I'm not even, the Ben Simmons thing is still not in the clear for me. It's still not something that we're out of the shadow of. So Cat being linked to Brooklyn is starting to pull on some weird strings for me, especially having never heard him espouse any type of real desire to be here. But I perhaps wasn't looking for it. Let's get into it. Shai Gilgeous is so fucking crafty. I don't know when it happened. I do know when it happened, but Shai Gilgeous, it's like you looked up one day and he was the fucking man. Like, he went to OKC and he played with Chris Paul that year. And things were trending upward. And everybody that's played with Shai Gilgeous seems to have nothing but good things to say about Shai Gilgeous, right? That's how it goes with players like this. But his development just seems so like it came all at once. And he probably went to OKC and we just weren't paying attention the way that maybe we should have. But there was always some good things there. I remember when he was just the guy on the Clippers making interesting fucking passes, right? Where it was just like the things he was doing was interesting in the short moments he had. It was like he was like making crazy transition passes that were like making SportsCenter and shit like that. And it was like, who the fuck is this kid? The Clippers might have lucked themselves into having a really talented player, but I don't think anybody foresaw this, where like Shai Gilgeous is comfortably a 30-point per game scorer and just one of the best guards the league has to offer, and not just in a sense of like, oh well, like he's a good guard in the NBA, so he's one of the best guards. No, like really one of the best. Like, you'd be hard pressed to find 6, 7 guys. Can you name 6 or 7 guys at the guard position, especially at the lead guard position, better than Shai right now? I don't know. And the team is starting to shape up in a way where this is becoming really fucking interesting. I thought that Oklahoma City was going to be bad for way longer than they actually ended up being bad. Like, at least as far as being uninteresting. Like, at no point in the past few years has Oklahoma City been uninteresting, and Chet being able to suit up this year opens up a whole nother ridiculous can of worms. Chet Holmgren seems to be what people told me he was. Right? Because it's not like I was consuming a shit ton of college basketball, but I did know the rap around Chet, and I did understand, like, how good people thought he could be. And from my understanding of it, a lot of that is a defensive thing, but also is what he brings on the offensive end with his size. He seems to be a willing passer and somebody with some real vision. From that perspective, he can shoot at his size and handle the ball some and do what he needs to do in that sense, where it seems like this is a great co-star for Shai. And they will be able to grow together, and hopefully their games develop some sort of symbiotic relationship where it's like, where they play off each other incredibly well. You got Josh Giddey. The other guys on the roster are starting to look like guys, like really look like guys. I'm not going to say the sky's the limit. The problem that they're probably going to encounter more so than anything is probably getting people to come to Oklahoma City, which I think that they're moving in a way that may entail that they understand the remedy to that, which is to not make your franchise dependent on landing free agents. And that's not to shame franchises that are, that whose strategy is largely based on finding free agents, and they're not maybe the greatest at leveraging and receiving great assets, or making trades or drafting. It is what it is. But I do think that it makes sense to center your strategy around that when it's what you have to offer, right? But when it's not, you gotta go get it, and you gotta be smart. In Oklahoma City, I don't think we've ever really had to question their acumen when it comes to these things. But the one thing that I don't think anybody could have predicted was how fucking good Shai Gilgeous would get, and how quickly he would do so. And he's so incredibly crafty. It's the way he's good, right? Where it's like he's leaning into all the things that make him special in that way. He's incredibly patient with the ball. He's incredibly crafty and incredibly adept at drawing fouls. And that seems to be the hallmark of being a really good guard nowadays, especially if you're a guard that puts a lot of pressure on the rim. And of course, we know if you're putting pressure on the rim, getting to the free throw line is super important. But this ability to manufacture free throws out of broken plays or out of defenders being out of position is like a more recent phenomenon. And in the lane, I don't know who's better at doing it than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, it's real reminiscent of prime Harden. The way that he's able to contort himself and slow down. And he's not a slow person. I think he's a guy like Kyrie Irving, where like he's so shifty and so quick and so stop and go. He's more like James Harden than Kyrie Irving in the actual way that he moves. But people will confuse themselves and think that Kyrie Irving is not fast, purely because he is so shifty and agile, that they'll think raw speed is not really something that's there. But I think like Kyrie Irving is pretty fast. Same thing with Shai Gilgeous. Is like, it's not that he's incapable of moving quickly. It's not that he's a poor athlete. It's that he's incredibly talented at manipulating defense, and he's extremely comfortable in his savviness. Right? And what we see more and more, if you pay attention, is that this savviness really becomes a differentiator from between the tiers of players. Is this level of savviness and understanding about the game and playing the games within the games, right? The things that you do to bend defenses, I think the micro situational things, the small things that we may take for granted, that don't always make Sports Center, becomes so important. And Shai Gilgeous is so good at so many of those things, right? Then he's 6'6", right? So then you've got a guy who's theoretically should shape out to be a solid defender, and also is you can slot him in at either guard position, and he's a problem. He's a problem. Maybe less so at the two, but he's a fucking problem. And if he's lined up at the point, like, he's got a significant size advantage, and he's an above average playmaker. I don't know how much I've even spoken about that. Like, I think some of his playmaking gets overshadowed by Josh Giddey. Like, I've seen some people suggest that Josh Giddey's a better playmaker for others than Shai, and I'm not opposed to that thinking, but I also think that Shai Gilgeous is just more of a scorer than, which is ironic, because in the beginning of Shai Gilgeous' career, I would have never called that, but Shai Gilgeous is far more of a scorer than Josh Giddey is, or maybe ever will be. And so it is a larger tenet, I think, of Josh Giddey's game to playmate for others than it needs to be for Shai. But I think Shai is still a well above average, like an impressive, naturally talented playmaker for others. I don't necessarily know if I'm willing to just cede that to Josh Giddey. But regardless, this team looks poised to be really good in the foreseeable future, provided they stay the course. Shout out to them. You gotta love shit like that. You gotta love shit like that, because you don't see it every day. You don't see it every day. And I think small market teams have to reckon with their lot in life. You have to reckon with your lot in life. It is what it is, right? You receive what you receive based on kind of what's already been laid down for you. And if you are managing the Oklahoma City Thunder, you need to operate with that in mind. Location, 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 right? Like, nobody's coming to Oklahoma City And I look crazy saying that right now, probably in hindsight, because I'm sure now that I've said it, some major player is going to end up going to Oklahoma City when they could have went to the fucking Lakers or some shit like that. I don't know. But for all intents and purposes, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is him. So what feels like every year, right? Every single year, there is a fringe sect of fans that lock onto some random player and elevate them to a position that they really don't deserve to be and put them in conversations they have no business being in. Oftentimes, niggas will not even be talking about this player. How did this name even get brought up? It's just, all they gotta do is have a similar silhouette. And their name is getting brought up next to all type of motherfuckers that it shouldn't be, right? This year, because of Wembanyama, right? The Wembanyama watch is in full effect. If y'all don't know, now y'all know. Make some noise. Give it up for Wembanyama watch. We are on Wemby watch. It's in full effect. Last year we did Celtics watch. This year we got to do Wemby watch. I need to know everything going on with Wemby every single minute, every single day. That's just me. But because of Wembanyama, we are now starting to just take a look at who else is freakishly sized and talented. It's really been what we've been doing this whole entire time. Like, the last few years has really been geared towards trying to find the next frontier of huge guys who are, like, abnormally fucking talented in ways that don't really match up with their size. And we got a bunch of them running around the league right now. They're dominating. Giannis, Jokic, etc. But Wembanyama being, like, 7 fucking whatever, like 7'5", and just larger than life is, of course, drawing comparisons to another guy who is 7 whatever and fucking like larger than life, and who stands in the shadow, not in the shadow, because some would argue that he's a much better player than his father, and I have no idea why they would argue that, based on like what is actually being produced on the court. But I know that nowadays we like things that are more highlight worthy, a little more saucy. You know what I'm saying? And we're willing to give a lot more respect for having a shall we say, a Twitter clippable bag than otherwise. But I think just from a raw productivity standpoint, I don't know. It stands to be seen. But Bobo is getting these comparisons to Wembanyama. Shaquille O'Neal has said it. I think Kendrick Perkins has alluded to it, but I might just be ascribing him a take because I know he's stupid take man. My boy, stop. You're doing yourself a disservice. Ain't nobody come here to talk about this shit. Y'all motherfuckers talking about Bobo. Bobo? Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? Wembanyama is about to change the game as we know it. He's the next one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying he's gonna be better than this guy, that guy, that guy. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying we're about to witness something that we've never seen before, and he's way more talented, way more dynamic than a guy like Bobo. But the irony here is, why am I dignifying this? Wembanyama through, 9 games so far? Like, okay, it's a small sample size theater, but I think it's pretty safe to say your boy is going to average somewhere around a dub this season, something that Bobo has never even fucking sniffed. Bobo does not do anything at an above average clip for his position in the league. And I would not be holding him to that standard if he was a rookie, although Wembanyama certainly does many things at a far above average clip as a fucking rookie, which is how we know he's so fucking special than Bobo did. But at the same time, like, they're not both rookies, so we're not going to say that holds as much weight in the direction of Bobo. It holds weight in the direction of Wembanyama, but these guys are not doing the same thing. You're talking about a guy who is struggling to try to be average, right? But we like his skill set. He has a very aesthetic skill set. And I think that this is the irony, is he's very similar to his dad, and that the idea of him is so much wilder than what you're actually getting. Like, with Manu Bol, it was like, oh my god, this guy is freakishly tall. What was he, like 7'7", tallest in league history? I don't fucking know, but the idea was like, what the fuck? And he had a game where he hit like mad fucking threes, and like, so like that would make you think like he was some sort of sharpshooter. Nope. That would make you think like he was some type of hyper versatile, hyper successful big man in the NBA. Nope. Ralph Sampson, he was not. You know what I mean? And I just think that with what Wembanyama is doing, what Wembanyama is doing, and again, I know it's a small sample size theater, but I feel very comfortable based on everything we've seen from him as far as his work ethic and what we can see is real tangible defensive acumen. Like Wembanyama is about to change the league, and we're talking about Bol Bol. Bol Bol might not be in the league in 2 years. And what this really is, and I just want y'all to say it. I just want y'all to say it. Y'all got a dog in this fight. That's what's going on here. Y'all have a goddamn dog in this fight, and you don't want to admit it. Because all y'all want to do is sit in y'all houses and pretend like somebody's getting shafted. Because y'all want to identify with somebody new every fucking week. Somebody's getting shafted. Oh, y'all don't know what I know about this player and that player. And listen, I'm all for undiscovered gems. I love being early on a player, being right about a player. But Bol Bol is not the player you're going to do. He was just on the Orlando Magic, and they were honestly big men who are more talented than him on that team. He was struggling to get fucking minutes. Everywhere he goes, he struggles to find minutes. And I will tell you, if he was really that much of a boon to these teams, he would be playing. He would be playing, unless you're trying to say that there's some type of massive conspiracy to make sure that Bol Bol does not succeed. I know some of y'all feel that way about James Wiseman. Crickets? Oh, I'm incredibly confused about why we're comparing somebody who as at this moment in NBA is irrelevant and insignificant. Like, it's like Bol Bol has not, and that's the other thing. You have to be successful at this shit, man. Like, I don't give a what a motherfucker's brave enough to try on the break, or what a motherfucker's brave enough to try with the ball in his hands in a game. We talking about success. Is Bol Bol a more successful handler of the ball than Giannis? Is he a more successful handler of the ball than Nikola Jokic? Is he a more successful handler of the ball than Joel Embiid? I don't know. I don't know that I would just fucking say that because you like his dribble baggage better than you like those guys, or because he's willing to dribble in certain situations that some of those guys may, or there's really like one maybe, but may not be willing to dribble. I think that that's too shallow. It's too shallow, and it makes you look stupid. This is how we end up in these places where we're comparing Bol Bol to Wembanyama. What is wrong with folk? And I know. Intelligent people aren't doing this. This is me being on fucking Twitter too much. This is what this is. Well, X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But I'm not gonna sit here and do the most because I already did. We gotta move on. Cam Thomas is averaging 27. Like last week, it was 30. What the fuck is happening? I don't know. I'm at a loss. I don't know how the fuck we got here. I kind of do see how this makes sense, but I don't know how the fuck we got here. Like, the man definitely was going bucket crazy in the few times that he saw the court last season, and it was a promising development, but it obviously this can't just be the norm. Right? There's no way this kid is ready to like be one of the best scorers in the league right now. Like, there's no way he is about to just go off the fucking deep end. And we're like 10 games into the season, so like he has plenty of time to come back down to earth. Like, I don't know that I would bet money that Cam Thomas is going to be averaging 30 when the fucking season ends. Is going to be averaging 25, 26, 27. I don't see why not. Let's just be honest. It's not like he's got to worry about like trying to wrestle shots away from Ben Simmons. So I don't see why the fuck not. But I can't act like I saw this coming. Like, Cam is shooting like fucking 49% from the mid range for cleaning the glass. Like, what? What are we doing here? And I get it. There's like the decision making factor. There's like is he gonna be like a net positive defender? Whatever you want to say, even just saying that it's small sample size, it's 10 games, he could finish the season averaging 19. So this is still a realistic possibility. This is a bright spot. You gotta let us have that. You gotta give us that. You have to give us that. It's of the utmost importance. It's of the utmost significance that we take some time to respect what the young man is putting together right now. Okay, he's having an efficient season. He's having a solid, efficient score. No, not solid. He's averaging 20 fucking 7. He's having a beastie, efficient scoring outing. Like he just is. I'm not. Is it hyper efficient? No. Is it efficient? Yeah. Oh yeah. So and there's clearly room to grow in his game. Like who knows what Cam Thomas is about to blossom into? This is another wonderful development in the land of the Nets. All we had to do, I've been trying to tell y'all, all we had to do was release ourselves, rid ourselves of those demons, those parasitic individuals who we won't name on this podcast. We won't name, and I'll tell you why we won't name. It's not because I don't like them. It's because I don't respect them. I'm sorry, I don't like they get down. I can't rock with them boys. I can't. I love watching them, both of them. I will continue to love watching both of them, and I feel blessed to have lived in a time as a fan of the sport where I got to watch both of them operate at the peak of their powers. That's phenomenal. As a matter of fact, never thought I'd be here, but make some noise for those fellas. Make some noise for them. They did the best they could. But the best that those two guys can muster is simply not good enough for me to be a fan of that fucking basketball team. They tried to drive me wild. And what's important for us all to acknowledge is that since those guys have decided to broaden their horizons, spread their wings, and fly other places, things have been going much better for us. From a PR standpoint, from a life standpoint, from a positive sign standpoint, everything. Anything you want to fucking point to, anything you could possibly imagine has gotten better. National media attention, maybe not, but everything else has gotten better. We got a bunch of guys with the right attitude again, and we're going in the right direction. I really thought that where we lost, when we sold out on the team identity to those guys, I think it really put us in a position that I was scared we wouldn't be able to recover from for a really long fucking time. Like, it's not that you can't sell out culture for superstar. Whatever your philosophy is your philosophy. Like, obviously, if you're Pat Riley, you're fucking pulling your hair out and calling me all kinds of names right now for saying that. But I'm not married to the idea that you can never bend or sacrifice or waver on team culture for a superstar. I mean, very few of them warrant that, or if there are very few of them that you could even get away with doing that and still having positive results. Like, the chances that you're gonna have a player that you can just throw away a good team culture for and have him just take you where he wants to go on the back of what he wants to do, like, okay, I want to see this guy. I do. Because there's really only a few names you could tell me that I'd be like, okay, I guess. But even those guys, like, were at their best when they were married to a better system. That's just the way the world fucking works. That's how efficiency works. That's how we make this motherfucker go. That's why you get in a car. Yeah, that's why you jump in a car, and when it's cold outside, you throw on the heat. When it's hot outside, you throw on the AC, don't you? You ain't gotta own no horses and smell no shit. That's something you do because you want to now. That is not no longer a requirement of getting around this motherfucker, huh? It is what it is. You hop on that fucking E-way and go 120 when you're not supposed to, don't you? And you love that shit. So it's the same thing with, like, you listen, when we talk about the best ways to get the best out of this thing, that will always be at the top of the list. It's like this marriage of, like, the perfect players and the perfect fucking system. The perfect culture, shall we say. It's why I'm so fucking convinced that Wemby's development is sealed. Because I think he's of a certain ilk where he was always going to go in that direction, and like I said, I believe him to be a hard worker. Time shall tell. I don't know that nigga, but this is I think what makes it such a sure shot I think for people to think he'll do well, and it's not to say that something similar to what happened with Kawhi Leonard can't happen, but Kawhi Leonard still became Kawhi Leonard, right? When like this is a guy that like, oh, this ain't even that. Like, this is a guy who's like immediately upon entering the league, this is like the second coming of Tim Duncan, like where it's like, okay, number one pick, obvious guy, like, let's not fumble this. It's just probably unfumbable, similar how that them words just fuck me up, boy. But similarly to Tim Duncan being unfumbleable, fuck. But it is what it is on that front. I'm just saying that far be it from me to give you a list of players that is any deeper than maybe five who, like, fuck it. I mean, time and place play such a crucial part into this too, because like if so and so gets hurt on this team, and if it's in this era or whatever the fuck, or under these rules, right? I guess anything can happen, but so rare is it that you're gonna just be able to toss out the guts of what makes a good organization, and what makes a good coaching, a well coached team. Very rarely are you just going to be able to throw that out the window and get on a player's back and just be taking the prosperity. That's just not the way it works. I'm sorry. It's just not the way it works, and I don't think it will ever be the way it works. I think that we will lionize certain efforts and certain circumstances in which we view somebody as having done it by themselves. I mean, we always like hyperbolically say certain things, right? Like LeBron James almost won a fucking game against like the iconic KD Warriors team by himself, and god damn it, he almost did. But we understand that he played with other people, and that those people had to execute in order for the team to win, or have a chance at winning. But it is what it is. We in there for the jokes anyway. And speaking of LeBron, he will continue to be the medium through which we understand that motherfuckers don't know the game. Now it's coming via turnovers, right? And again, you're gonna see a common theme that you're gonna see is that I gotta get off and stay off X, man. I just do, because I see so much shit on there that's just infuriating. But it's like a cesspool of nonsense and like player fan pages. But like, there's been a lot of argument about Kobe Bryant missing the most field goals of all time, I think, or something like that. And LeBron James is the all-time turnover leader, and I don't think it's by a small margin. And of course, people are showing their ass and talking about, oh, I thought y'all said this, what I'm saying. Now, mind you, the whole list that everybody's posting like is full of some of the best passers of all time, ball handlers of all time. And if you're familiar with it, those guys tend to be high turnovers. Like, I remember the first time I went looking. It's abnormal for those guys not to be high turnovers. What you're worried about is like bad pass turnovers, or like poor decision making turnovers. Like, a lot of those guys' turnovers will be seeing things perhaps before they develop that don't end up developing, or seeing a pass that they may not have actually been able to make in the moment, but they saw it, and right, and like these are like positive actions, or another player fucking up and getting them a turnover. Like, all turnovers are not built the same. All turnovers are not built the same. Just like all fucking, let me not talk myself in the corner there, but all turnovers are not built the same. And certainly a player like LeBron's turnovers are not built like, they're not built like your garden variety fucking turnovers. Like, you're not going to compare his turnovers to even a guy like Kevin Durant's turnovers. Like, they're not the same. They're not built the same. You're not going to compare LeBron James' turnovers to Russell Westbrook's. And that's where, like, we get to, like, a crossroads where it's like, well, I thought you said, and it's like, yeah, fuck you. I did say. But, shit, Russell Westbrook is prone to a lot of bad decision turnovers. As phenomenal as it, like, listen, I've had to make my bones with all these fucking theories I had about Russell Westbrook not being that great of a passer. Like, listen, at the end of the fucking day, Russell Westbrook created, like, just the volume of points he created by passing the fucking ball every fucking night, year in and year out. No matter what my qualms are, no matter how much I wish he had better vision than he had. I can't pretend like Russell Westbrook is not an above average playmaker for others. Simply because he playmade for others at an alarming and historical rate for more years than I have done anything well ever. But there's a difference between his turnovers because he's prone to a lot of boneheaded ones. And this is why I say all turnovers are not created equal, because you have to understand what kind of turnovers you're fucking seeing. And that's hard. That's hard because we don't just readily have access to those numbers. You got to go hunting for them. Sometimes you got to pay for them. Right? Or you got to wait for somebody to give them to you. It just fucking is what it is on that front. And it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult to account for these things, but when you can, you want to take a look at those things, right? Like, how many of these turnovers are actual, like, bad pass turnovers, like, or actual stupid turnovers, or actual absent-minded turnovers? Like, LeBron had a turnover the other night from, like, a miscommunication with D'Angelo Russell, where it was just supposed to be a simple inbound. Like, shit like that happens. Like, who's like, what? LeBron James is worse because of that? I don't understand. Like, Cat gotta go, man. Cat gotta go. I don't know where Cat gotta go. They saying he gotta come to Brooklyn. I'm not super into that idea just because, like, we've got a lot going on. I'm not opposed to the notion that Cat might come angry. A cat might come to Brooklyn angry at having been banished to Brooklyn and dominate. Now that I'm not opposed to. I actually can rock with that. But my major issue with Cat coming to Brooklyn is just like, what is it? A means to an end? We're not trying to keep Cat into perpetuity, I would hope. So are we looking to have him play his value up and trade him for something really, really good? What are we exactly doing here? Because Cat is going to put up numbers. He may even be motivated to have like a truly great season. Dare I say MVP level. Like, I'm trying my best not to hate. I really am. But I got some problems. Not me. I got some problems with Cat's get down, man. He's not. It's not felt like he's realized his full potential, and like everybody can't be a good defender, but like he is a poor defender to levels that really reverberate across like his whole entire team, right? That have forced his team to make decisions that maybe they otherwise wouldn't if they could trust him to be a serviceable defender at the 5. But it is what it is, right? He's not, and that's tough for me to accept. If he were here, what would he be playing? The 4? Like, now have we permanently moved Cat to the 4? Is that what's going on? Because again, the positions are not the end all be all for me. Like, he's a big as a big. You're wing, you're big, or you're guard, right? Like, it is what it is, man. Like, and then your role branches off from there. But are you a wing, or you're big, or you're guard? Is it? It's not that. It's not much more complicated than that for me. But where you position these guys based on their strengths and what you have to sacrifice in order to have a guy on the court, what you have to tweak, is kind of important to me. And when Cat tends to be the biggest guy on the fucking floor, well, not anymore. Honestly, in 2023, there are just literally so many ridiculously sized people that I don't know if I can just comfortably say that, but I do think we still say the 7-foot fucking Cat is going to be the biggest guy on the court a lot of nights and is not particularly dominant close to the basket and is really like leaning into this whole like best shooting big ever. First of all, Cat is not the best shooting big of all time. There's a big man in the NBA right now that shoots better than Cat. His name is Nikola Jokic. Right? Like, I don't even know why Cat is doing that. Like, it's not even like you, like what? Like, you're the best standing still, wide open 3-point shooting big in history is what you're saying, maybe? Because what is it like? It's not. Is it off the dribbles? It's still you. Fades out the post. It's still you. Mid range. It's still you. I don't think so. I don't. Not all time. So where we going here? Like Jokic is I would think Jokic is a better shooter. First of all, Jokic is the best mid range shooter in basketball. Second of all, Jokic is a good 3-point shooter. It was blistering hot from three in the playoffs last year. Like, so how is Cat the best big man shooter of all time if Jokic is a better shooter than him? And if Dirk Nowitzki existed? Like, again, like, situations matter. So, like, is what Cat saying that he's the greatest, grab it off a rack and shoot it? 3-point shooting big of all? He's the best at, like, okay, if I catch it in this situation and stands down his number. And I don't want to shit on Cat because he's shooting he's shot high clips on high attempts for a big man in his career. No, some seasons maybe approaching high attempts period, but he has shot respectable, good, really good clips on a good number of shots. Enough shots for me to know that Cat Carlton Town could fucking shoot the ball. That's not the question. But when the motherfucker is trying to glorify himself as the best shooting big of all time, I get it, his branding and shit like that. But like, I just hope that we all can take a moment and understand and appreciate. He's not. That is not what this is. I'm sorry. And Cat gotta go because the Timberwolves, I think it's just run its course. I think it's run its course, and I think that I don't know what you do about this. Again, I'm being dramatic. Like, the Timberwolves probably feel like that experiment last year didn't really have a good go. Didn't really have the health of everybody involved. Cat was massively hurt. Boy, Cat is coming off a huge injury. And I don't want to overshadow that with this, although I have by not talking about this until like 10 minutes after I brought up Cat. But I'm just saying, like, you could argue that this hasn't been given the old college try. That this hasn't been given like a real serious attempt with this roster. And so be it. Let's fucking do it. Anthony Edwards is a blessing to us as fans as far as like something to watch. Like, oh my God, does he promise to be one of the greatest shows that we are gonna have in the next few years? He's so intense, he's so competitive, and he's that fucking talented. He's talented and good enough to back it up. And Cat is the same guy that Jimmy Butler didn't want to fucking play with. And I think Anthony Edwards is the type of motherfucker that Jimmy Butler would love to play with. So we'll let that go where it's at. Anthony Edwards seems to be a loyal guy, and he seems like Cat is his man, and he's rocking with him. And I respect that. I respect that, big dog. But Cat make a lot of money, and you can flip that into a lot of shit. And it's your team no matter what, my boy. So you gotta let us know where you want this motherfucker to go. Because I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Steph Curry. Steph Curry, I think I've been coming to terms with over the last few years just how good Steph Curry has been, right? Set aside the 3-point shooting because, no, we can't set aside 3-point shooting, but Steph Curry is so far and away the best 3-point shooter of all time that it dominates the discourse around him. Like, when people talk about Steph and how good he is at 3-point shooting, I need you to understand, like, somebody asked me the other day, do you think that there's anybody in history that's like ever been close? And I was like, yeah, no. No one has ever even been close. If you think about volume and then you take into account how difficult the shots are, the types of shots, you're getting some off the dribble, you're getting some off the catch, some standing still, some off the run. Nearly all of them incredibly contested. Like his like the actual quality of the shots, his shot quality is tragic. It's terrible. He has some of the worst shot quality in the league. As far as like he's not getting good looks. They're not giving them to him. He has to take and make a good look. He has to take the offense in his own hands and generate that somehow. Despite having bodies thrown at him. Like, if you, like, that was one of the lasting images of that finals against the Celtics, was just watching him come off fucking screen after screen after screen and just have two in his fucking face. But that's what he was looking for, that little crack of fucking daylight where he could let that motherfucker off, because he know all he gotta do is get it off. Like, he already seen what he need to see, and if he got it off, you know, see what I'm saying? So that bitch going up, and it's probably going in. And that's just how Steph roll. And that shit makes a fucking big difference, especially when you count the ways he's doing it. Number one, he's contested probably more than anybody else on that fucking list. Number two, he's taking them in different ways, and he's shooting like he's standing still. The fucking percentages he shoots, like, just a raw 3-point percentage, if you think about it, like, you're catching, I mean, your fucking off the dribble pull-ups should be, like, detrimental to your fucking field goal, to your 3-point field goal percentage, right? Like, usually people shoot way fucking higher, like, just standing still, catching shoots. Steph Curry's numbers, they're not really being dragged down by the pull-ups and all the other shit. Like, they're not. And the step backs and shit like that, they're not being dragged down. No. I'm shooting those at the same clip that you would shoot if you were standing the fuck still. If you were standing still. And I'm doing whatever I want. Steph Curry's throwing that bitch up like, come on, bro. The shit he's doing don't make no fucking sense. And he's consistently doing it. And Steph is currently leading the league in points per shot attempts via cleaning the glass. And that's his highest of his fucking career. At 30 fucking 5, Steph Curry is having his highest points per 100 shot attempts of his career. And it is like the best in the league in that department. And just the level of scoring, the type of clinic that Steph Curry has been putting on for us, from his MVP season from his first MVP season to now, right? This is a guy who scored 30 points a game multiple times in this league. Also, like, I think that when it comes down to Steph, we talk about the 3-point shooting. No, he's phenomenal at the rim. He's an all-time ball handler. Like, he's a good defender. People get too lost in the sauce about him being quote-unquote hidden, when it's just like, yeah, as the weak link in the defense, defense is that good. If you're the weak link, aka the smallest fucking player on the court for your team, then you get picked on. And you have to try to avoid getting picked on if you have players on your team who are ideal for those kinds of matchups. Like, if I have Draymond and I have Andrew Wiggins, then I don't see why Steph Curry has to be guarding necessarily the Russell Westbrooks of the world, even though it's not like he's ever run from that challenge. But, like, I just don't see, like, we're talking strategy, right? If this player is better for that, and we'd rather have him in an isolation situation against that player than this guy, then it is what it is. But at the same time, like, I don't think that on its face makes somebody a poor defender, right? It's just like he was on a team full of elite, unique fucking defenders. And he is not a unique defender. He's just good. It's a good defender, right? And he's in the ways that a guard of his size can be good. In the ways that you might expect him to be good. He's good. Like, it's not like a lock you down. Like, it's not like a lock you down clamp where you going. But it's a, I'm going to pick your pocket. I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be. I'm not going to be easy out. And the man works his ass off. We know this about him. He works his ass off on both ends of the floor and only gets credit for one of them. But these are the things that make Steph Curry so special, is all the things he's great at. All the fucking things he's great at. He's a really good playmaker for others. It's not that hard when your gravity is that intense, but I think he's shown throughout the course of his career in college and all that he is far above average at that. It's not even something that just comes of his gravity. It's something that comes of his vision. Steph has led the league in points per shot attempts for each of the last 6 seasons, for 4 of them, including this one that he's been healthy. He is currently at it because he was injured for 2 seasons, pardon me. He is currently at his highest for his career by far, like I said, and the next guy is not even fucking close. Somebody tell me what we do with that. What do we do with that? That Steph Curry's been the best scorer in the league by points per shot attempt metric, at least, which I think is a proper indicator if you also take into account what's actually being scored, of course, and then if you take into account where they're playing. But look at Steph's efficiency this season. This shit is unfucking heard of. for a guy taking the most difficult shots in basketball. This shit is unfucking heard of and it doesn't make any sense, and it hasn't made sense for a long fucking time. I just want to watch as many Steph Curry games as I can. I just want to go back and watch the great Steph Curry games of yesteryear. This is crazy. And Steph Curry is a singular fucking talent. And he's done it in a way that I don't think anybody thought was coming. This was video game shit, man. And like, you've got guys like Gilbert Arenas, you got guys like was it my dude? I'm not gonna fuck that guy's name up, but it's not like there wasn't guys that were like doing similar things to, no, not similar, but that were doing things kind of that would be evocative of a little bit of Steph. It's how he's doing it, how well he's doing it, and how much better he's doing it than anybody's ever done it, and how effective he is. Like, Steph Curry is just breaking the game as this fucking amazing 3-point threat. Like, it's just a guy that can shoot three. These are all video game shots. He's doing shit this is gonna be beaten into the fucking ground at this point. But yo, remember when 2K had to put out the fucking Steph Curry patch that just like let you make like my careers or my GMs or whatever with like Steph Curry's, like, they had to adjust the way that he shot just to make him like shoot more like real life as far as actually making them and like what's possible given what the game's constrictions were. The man is out of his fucking mind. He is the Michael Jordan, the Shaquille O'Neal of 3-pointers. And also he is a phenomenal mid-range shooter, and also he is fucking phenomenal at the rim. Like, this is insane. This is fucking insane. It makes no sense how fucking good Steph Curry is. And I know obviously we're going to remember Steph Curry. Obviously Steph Curry is going to get love for all time in the basketball universe. Like, Steph Curry is one of the best players to ever play. He's going to first ballot Hall of Fame, the top 75 all time, whatever you want to call it. Steph Curry is multiple MVP, multiple scoring champs. Like, come on. It is what it is with him. I'm just saying that when they do remember him, I just hope it doesn't just get boiled down to 3-pointers. Because this motherfucker deserves every bit the respect that Magic gets, that Larry gets, that all these great players get when you mention their game. Talk about how good they was at all that shit, man. Don't leave nothing out. With Steph, it's going to be easy to just go, oh, Steph, the 3-pointer guy. Nah, man. It's way bigger than that. It's way fucking bigger than that. And that's enough. Shit. Y'all lucky my nigga Prada ain't on this bitch, because Prada would have said I was glazing. You gotta make some noise for blazing. Make some noise for blazing. That's not what we doing, but we gotta show respect. We gotta show respect because the gang ain't with me today. I hope y'all enjoyed this. This is probably gonna be sort of what like a lot of the bonus casts are gonna be. I don't know if I ever talked to y'all about bonus casts, but I know I've given y'all one here or there. We want to go to a 2-episode a week format for the season, right? I think that the 1 a week worked in the regular season, but I think that things are just kind of happening at a quicker speed, and we need to be more reactive. So we'll probably start giving out 2 episodes a week. I hope y'all fuck with that. Stay with us. Don't motherfucking